Welcome to Country Fried Rock, where we have conversations with songwriters for real music lovers who enjoy context and musical connection. We are Country Fried Rock. My guest today on Country Fried Rock is James Trimble of the Dirty Guv'nahs with a new record coming out. Welcome.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Hey, this is a great opportunity. I actually have been following y'all for a while. How have things been going for y'all?
It's been going great. We're really, really excited to get on the road starting March 11th when the album comes out and do the spring tour for the Hearts on Fire release. We're going to all of our kind of core markets, the tour, which is exciting. We're going to be playing for all of our favorite crowds, which is really fun, and the places we've been playing for the last few years and build the fan base. And we've got a band from Knoxville called Sirius Bright that is a folk rock band that's going to be opening the entire tour. They're just really awesome as well. And it's really exciting because it feels like a really well put together tour.
Let's back up a little bit. How did the band originally come together?
Well, a bunch of us met while we were at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and we were all studying different things, and none of us had the real intention of making a go at it as a musician professionally. Most of us were really just big-time music fans, that casually played an instrument, and we had a friend whose nickname was the Dirty Guv'nah, and the Dirty Guv'nah was the one person that convinced this random group of people to start a band and play a show. From the beginning, it was so casual, and I think in the first year we played 3 shows, and I think we wrote, maybe 5 songs total. But there was just something about it. And as we kind of moved on in life, some folks got regular desk jobs, some folks got into graduate school, some folks teaching, all kinds of different things. We still played shows for about 3 or 4 years, even though people were working full-time. And there was something that happened around that 3rd or 4th year where we made an album and we realized, hey, this is really turning into something that's more than a hobby. We've got a decent number of fans in, 4 or 5 cities. This isn't a hobby where we're losing money, put it that way. And talking to other friends and folks that are in bands, they really let us know, they're like, being a musician, for the most part, is a hobby where you lose money, in the early stages. And so when folks told us, they're like, listen, if you've got 3, 4, 5 markets where you actually make some money, I'm not talking about a lot of money, but any money whatsoever, you really ought to give this a go. And so we kept working 2, 3 jobs and touring and doing all this. And after about 4+ years, we had a band meeting and we just said, hey, if we're going to go after this, we can't do 40 shows a year. We got to do 120 shows a year, and which means you can't have another job. We got to take the risk. And so we're in year 3 of that, of doing it full time, and it is quite the adventure. We're alive and kicking. I'll say that.
How do you know when there's that tipping point?
A lot of bands wait for the elusive record deal or the elusive publishing contract or the elusive something, and it's like, we got this influx of money. Now we can go out on the road and build our fan base. And that's just so 1980s, 1990s. Just being realistic, I'm not talking down, but that's just not what the music world is now. So few opportunities like that. Usually those opportunities are for the next Katy Perry, and those aren't usually bands. Those are usually like a solo artist, and they're going to have somebody else helping write the songs, et cetera, et cetera. I think the way for a band to have even a chance is, it's the old phrase, you cannot quit your day job. You got to keep it going until you decide that the money you make on the weekends and on the short tours you do is worth turning in your desk job or your restaurant job or whatever you've got.
Country Fried Rock is sponsored in part Rhythm and Blooms in gorgeous Knoxville, Tennessee this April. Rhythm and Blooms, the crossroads of American roots music. Rhythm and Blooms, arts, culture, and natural beauty. Country Fried Rock is super excited to now be available in both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Download it for free. Find us on iTunes, Spreaker, Podfeed, Player FM, Blueberry, Stitcher, Gigadial, Digital Podcast, and some great apps including Agogo and Swell. Wherever you listen, you'll find Country Fried Rock. Never miss an episode.
Hey, this is James Trimble of the Dirty Guv'nahs on Country Fried Rock.
In those early days when you made that transition, what was working, making that build?
For us, from the beginning, we've been lucky. We had some friends that were in bands that told us some of these tips, but I think one of the biggest mistakes that young bands make is they think they need to play so many shows. I get it. when you're a band and you're just glad that they'll pay you $200 at the end of the night or anything, whatsoever. Mm-hmm. You're pumped. Like, oh my gosh, we got a show. I get it. It is so exciting. But if you play Charlotte 4 times at 4 different bars in the same year, or goodness, 8 times, or some major market, how on earth, as a creative person, can you create a show that is that much different than the one you played to the same group of 50 or 200 people 6 to 8 weeks prior? Creativity takes a long time. How in the world could you hope, because you're pitching an entertaining evening. That's what you're doing. I'm here to entertain / inspire you. That's why people go to shows. And how in the world are you going to come up with something that's new? Because if a person comes to your show twice in a row and sees the same thing, they're like, oh, I already saw this, guys. The biggest piece of advice that I think has got us to the level where we're at is keep your day job and play Charlotte twice a year, Play Nashville twice a year. Don't try to play it 5 times. Because you're going to drive yourself crazy, and make sure that your shows are good. And when you get there, make sure you try your hardest to get a write-up in some local newspaper and build the buzz and make your YouTube videos. That's the other thing. YouTube is more important than anything, I believe.
How has that worked well for y'all?
YouTube is something that has worked well for us, but if I'm honest, we could do so much more with it. I think for us as a band, we try to create great music videos that have fan interaction, or at least show a lot of fans in the videos. The number one thing that you can do is just put out a ton of YouTube videos that are of high quality. If we were starting over right now, I would have probably played even less shows, made all of those shows significantly better. I would have done more time spent on just songwriting and creating great YouTube videos, even if it's me with an acoustic guitar in front of a camera, even if that's it. I would have spent more time crafting great YouTube content because people watch that stuff when they're at work, winning fans without spending money. It's crazy, and it's different than just posting songs on your SoundCloud or something like that. The YouTube makes people believe that they know you. You're being vulnerable in front of a little camera, and that's what I'd do.
As a little aside, I am not a member of this group, but I kind of became on as a fan. There's something called Couch by Couch West every March, this online festival that's free.
Perform on a couch in a thrift store that you haven't even purchased. That's the most musician thing you can do.
That being said, the power of YouTube is incredible.
Yeah, it really is. If a person's willing to be vulnerable with it, and if they can craft an online personality, then it's wild. I haven't gotten great at it, which is why we do a lot of music videos, because they're a little more controlled. But for the person who is really great at just sitting down in front of that camera and saying, hey, I'm Joe Schmo, and this is my song, and they produce great work, that's always the key. You can't just be if you're busy and you suck. It doesn't help. But if you're busy and you're good, then it's a huge platform.
Well, so how did you all know when it was time to bring other people on board to your team?
The thing that allowed us to become a full-time independent rock and roll band, meaning this was our gig, was when we got hooked up with a legitimate booking agent. Some people say there's like 3 or 4 major booking agencies, but I'd say there's 10 to 12 really great booking agencies out there. And getting connected with somebody that can at least make sure you get some guarantee, even if a tornado strikes, at least you pay for your gas and your hotel. Because that's so key, just making sure when you leave home that you're not losing money, even if you don't come home with a lot. Just knowing, like, I'm going out for 6 days, and I know I'm coming home with something, even if it's not much. And then, depending on how many folks show up, it could be something. You can't negotiate that on your own. When we were doing 4 or 5 cities, we were booking all of our own shows. And even when we got to about 6 or 7 cities, we were still doing a lot of the booking our own shows. But it was, when you get down to the hours spent versus the money you make, trying to book those shows, you just can't do it all. We started off, we hired a small-time agent, and then, we were blessed enough to get connected with a really good agent at one point. That's when we said, guys, if we're going to make a run at this, it's time to saddle up and go for it.
Check out our live music partners at linguamusicalive.com. Live events that you can attend near Asheville, North Carolina, as well as their online video series, Lingua Musica Live. Country Fried Rock is committed to supporting the musicians, making the music we love. Help them out by buying their music, and help us out at no extra cost by purchasing through the links on our website.
Hey, Sloan, James Trimble with the Dirty Guv'nahs. The title of the record is Hearts on Fire, and we would like people to buy it at iTunes.
As we move into the most recent record with Hearts on Fire, there's been a stretch of time since an album of original material has come out.
Right. Well, on the last album, we worked with some great guys that were like an engineer and a producer in Nashville on the Southern Skies album, and they were just great guys. And it was the first time that we'd ever worked with a producer-engineer combo, and it turned out good. I won't use the word great because we just weren't quite comfortable in the Nashville environment, I'm totally honest. It's a really fast-paced environment, and I think we are a homegrown, organic rock band. We make a living as a live band, but a live performance doesn't necessarily sound like a studio performance. And when you put a band that is great at entertaining and really getting people interactive and stuff in it with the crowd, we record all of our live shows, and none of them sound, they sound great because you feel the energy, but they don't have fidelity or the consistency of a studio recording. And so when you go to somewhere like Nashville and you work with producers and engineers that a lot of times are accustomed to more of a country singer-songwriter model where a guy comes in and he's got 6 great songs. He hires a great drummer, and he hires, the great drummer, like the best drummer. He hires the best bass player and the best lead guitar player, and he might just play an acoustic and sing. That's all he does on the record. And he's working with the top studio dogs who can go in there and play perfectly with their eyes closed. And that's a lot of pressure. That's kind of what we experienced with the last record. We went in and we were working, the professionalism of these people, is like 100 out of 100. It's unreal. But for a little old band from Knoxville, we go in there like, whoa, we need about 10 takes on this. We might want to think through all these things. And, and then they record us and they're like, yeah, you might need 20 takes on that. But you're like, yeah, that's who we are. Right. That is who we are. So the evolution for us as a band, thanks to my fellow co-writer in the band, Michael Jenkins, thanks to him becoming such an audio recording wizard, we've rented a house in Knoxville and transformed it into a studio. So it has really changed our entire approach as a band because, due to his skills, this new album, Hearts on Fire, he's the producer. And we were able to take our time, record a song, write a song, record a rough version of it, go on tour for a couple of weekends, listen to it. The bridge, it really sucks, man. We need to change it. This lyric's not good enough, et cetera, et cetera. Let's change guitar tones. Let's take the guitar out. Let's make this a piano ballad. Over time, songs can change, and I think the longer you sit with them, the better they are. And the more that you can sit with them in a produced fashion, the better they are. That's the reason why big-time artists like Bruce Springsteen or John Mayer, people that can afford to go to a studio for 4 months, X $1,000 a day to be there, the reason that greatness comes out of these records and the reason that greatness comes out of a lot of the records we love is the Beatles sat in the studio for a year. They sat in the studio for a year crafting 14 songs, and they recorded them 100 times a piece. Different arrangements and they're brilliant, yes, but the truth is they spent so much time perfecting their brilliance. So for us, for now, one day we do hope to work with an outside producer again because there's such a gift in that outside voice. But for the time being, we decided that our best option as a touring band was to record this album, over a long period of time. And then when we got about close to half done with it, we decided we wanted to do a Kickstarter campaign, tie up the loose ends and pay for everything. And as soon as that came together, we were able to finish a record in about the next 2 months after that happened.
Country Fried Rock is sponsored in part Albino Skunk Fest every spring and fall in beautiful Greer, South Carolina, halfway between Greenville and Spartanburg. Bring a camper, bring a tent, bring your family. Get your tickets now, albinoskunk.com. Country Fried Rock is committed to helping prevent musician suicide. For the last 2 years, our official charity has been Nucci's Space, a nonprofit organization removing barriers to mental health care for the music community of Athens, Georgia. This model program addresses everything from the need for affordable rehearsal space to loaner gear, as well as direct mental health services and primary care for musicians. We've got a ton of ways you can help them out at countryfriedrock.bandcamp.com. Guv'nahs.com. 2 incredible album compilations, baby onesies. Check it all out. Get some great music for yourself or for a friend and make a difference.
Our band is called The Dirty Guv'nahs. You can find us at www.thedirtyguv'nahs.com. That's Guvnahs.
Did you want to bring in anything outside, or were you still working just with your core band?
We were just working with our core band. We had set a timeline for ourselves that we wanted to release an album in early March because we've got a lot of fans that are connected to college campuses. We had to make sure that our kickoff tour was a spring tour that included at least 5 or 6 of those big campuses. So we were in a bit of a time crunch just based on touring band has to tour, they don't eat food. We don't have that hidden money that, people have big songs on the radio, they get those hidden royalty monies. We don't have that. We get paid when we sing and dance. So.
Did you all send it off from mixing or mastering, or did you do that in-house as well?
We hired out all the mixing and mastering for sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely hired. And we hired some great guys. We hired one guy in Nashville and one guy in Memphis for those processes.
Where are the songs now? Have they continued to change?
They changed a whole lot over time. We've actually been chronicling some of the stories of the songs and how they were written. Each Tuesday, we're releasing a new stream opportunity on our website for a song so people can kind of hear like how the song evolved and, part of what it maybe inspired it or, who got in a fight with who when we wrote it, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, a song takes a long time to develop. I just truly believe that. There are songs that flow out of you from time to time, and you're like, wow, did I write that in 20 minutes? What just happened? But I believe that in those moments, you are so tuned into what is currently going on around you or inside you that you've actually been working on that song, whether you knew it or not, as a songwriter, for maybe 2 years. And when it flows out of you like that, you're lucky that you call it the muse or the spirit or whatever you want to call it. You are lucky that you have drank enough coffee that morning that you didn't get distracted and go check your email after writing the first verse. You finished it. But that's still so rare. I mean, for me, that happened maybe twice on this record. But the rest of the songs, I mean, it's, you get a line for a chorus and you decide, wow, that's about this subject for me, and let me hash out the lyrics over the next 10 months. That is really how it normally happens for me. Sometimes I'll get a whole verse all at once or a whole chorus all at once, and when that happens, I'm just like, oh, thank God, how did that happen? But it's so rare for me that, I mean, it's usually a really long time, a really long process. It's usually a lot of really angry moments with myself. As far as lyrics go, it's just hard.
You said that you and Michael Jenkins co-write sometimes. How does that work?
Well, the way that we write together is 90% of the time Michael comes to me with a piece of music that is either, full 3.5 minutes of wow, or sometimes it's just 20 seconds of listen to the rhythm and the chord changes of this. I think this has got some potential, and I mean, he hits me with 100 of those a year, and I listen to them. I save them on my iPhone. I listen to them in my car all the time. I listen to them when I'm just hanging out. I pick up my acoustic guitar and I learn how to play them. I try to soak it in, and then we are lucky enough for a melody to come out of me, even if that we think is catchy, even if the lyrics don't make sense. Melody is what is most important to a song. The lyrics are what make it real. If you don't have a melody that you can remember, then your listener doesn't actually gain the access to those lyrics. As a songwriter, the lyrics are the thing that stick with you the longest, that maybe move you the most, but I don't think they move you unless the melody feels right, if that makes sense. It's all hard is the answer.
Well, you mentioned about some key markets for album release shows, but you also have a couple festivals lined up.
Yeah, we are very excited to go back to the Wakarusa Music Festival.
Country Fried Rock is super excited to now be available in both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Download it for free. You can find Country Fried Rock on great radio stations like 91.1 The Globe in Goshen, Indiana, Wildman Steve Radio Network from Auburn, Alabama, around the world. Online from Texas at Root Hog Talk Radio, part of Radio Free Americana, from Mobile, Alabama on the Mod Mobilian Radio Network. Listen in Georgetown, California at KFOK 96.1, from Kodiak, Alaska on KMXT, KSRQ, Grand Forks, Minnesota, KKRN, Round Mountain, California, KDRP, solar-powered radio from Dripping Springs, Texas, WALW, Moulton, Alabama, and other great stations like CJXF, Calgary, Canada.
Hey, this is James Trimble of the Dirty Guv'nahs on Country Fried Rock. We had an opportunity to open for Train, like 4 times in the last 2 years, and they put a cruise together, and I think they bring about 7 bands along with them. We were lucky enough to get selected. Sadly, my wife could not come on the trip.
Oh, no!
So she is so bummed. What a disaster.
Terrible. Music cruises sound like fun, and the festivals are fun, too. Do you all ever get a chance to get out and hear anybody else new to you?
Absolutely. When we go to these festivals, I really try to make a point to go see 2 or 3 bands, that I've been following and want to see how they do it live. What do they look like when they're on stage, and how do they craft their transitions, and what do they talk about in between songs? And just who are they as people, outside of the studio recordings? And I would say one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen at a festival was Guv'nahs a couple years ago at Bonnaroo, and just had loved their records, but went to their live show and just amazing. For me, it was like the first time I saw the Avett Brothers. It was a similar experience for me. It was like, oh yeah, I've heard these guys, and then I went and saw these guys. What on earth? This is a different level. For me, that's the kind of, we're more in the southern rock realm, but that's the kind of roots rock type of thing that I love. So yeah, it was really exciting. First time I saw Bruce Springsteen was at Bonnaroo about 4 years ago, because we played Bonnaroo twice. The first time we played, Bruce was there, just mind-blowing. So good.
That's funny that you mentioned that about Dawes. We kicked off 2012 with them. Live, It's like they're on a whole different plane.
They really are. They're great. Taylor is such a great songwriter. I got to meet him at Bonnaroo that year after he played. I kind of nerded out. I was like, we were in the artist tent. I was grabbing a beer, and I was just like, hey, man, I saw your show. Huge fan. He's probably like, dude, I've never heard your band.
What was that? Chris Farley used to have a Saturday Night Live bit that was sort of like that.
That was awesome. Cool.
Yeah, no.
I was cooler than that, but not much. Maybe only 10 or 20% cooler than that.
Well, so how about anyone else who might be not on other people's radars yet?
Yeah, a really cool live performance, a band called St. Paul and the Broken Bones.
Funny you mentioned that. We're featuring them this week.
I saw them at a bar, and they were really, really good. I haven't heard all of their records yet, but they were really, really good. There is a singer-songwriter that opened for us back, I don't know, like a year ago, and I followed him a little bit online. But he's from Austin, Texas, and his name is David Ramirez. And he is, it's that really intimate, like extremely vulnerable, like minimal singer-songwriter thing, but he does it so well. That's really hard to do, because anybody that writes songs tries to do that at some point, and I'm better at writing songs that work with a band. When somebody can do it with one instrument on stage and still wow you, it's pretty amazing. I'd throw him out there. Oh my gosh, I saw Tedeschi Trucks Band the other night. It was so amazing. It's like, do you want to go see a top 10 musician on each instrument on the stage at one time? It's called the Tedeschi Trucks Band. Now, do you know where the word Guv'nahs comes from?
No, I don't.
I looked it up, since I'm in a band, and a lot of people ask me about it.
I assumed it was like Alabama or Georgia.
It is not.
Really?
It is British.
What?
How about that?
Nuh-uh.
It's British. The word Guv'nah is, hello, Guv'nah. It is British, and the word Guv'nah, it essentially means boss. What you would say, back in, I don't know, whenever they use those words, I don't think people are throwing around, hello, Guv'nah, good morning, Guv'nah. But it was what you would say to, your boss as you're walking into work. Hello, Guv'nah. Yeah, it's like, hey, boss, man. You might say it in, a professional realm. It also might get thrown around somebody laying bricks. Guv'nah, where up with this shovel? It was that kind of slang. It's really funny. I didn't even look that up until, 5 years being in a band with that name, because we named the band after our friend who got that nickname for, I don't know, some long story that we didn't understand, and so we just called it that, and it just sounded good.
Well, James Trimble of the Dirty Guv'nahs, thank you so much for your time, and congrats on the new record, Hearts on Fire.
Great. Thank you very much.
Y'all be well. Bye-bye. Country Fried Rock, music uncovered. Find our full playlist at countryfriedrock.org. You can subscribe to our weekly podcast on iTunes. Just search Country Fried Rock. Our Country Fried Rock stinger is from Steve Soto and the Twisted Hearts. Country Fried Rock. Copyright 2013 by Lilypad Productions. All rights reserved. Country Fried Rock is a partnership with the nonprofit Florence Regional Arts Alliance. Your donations to this program are tax-deductible to the extent you are eligible under U.S. law. Country Fried Rock radio programs are distributed to public radio through the Public Radio Exchange, prx.org.
Ever he been helping us some country fried rock.